You're in the walls of my skin. You've strengthened the muscle inside of my heart. Even when the walls were clogged and full of fat, you lunged at it with every fucking tooth showing. You were my teacher. You passed on your aggression with a French kiss, with the fight and the saliva from your tongue, transforming the peaceful, silent passion into a fist, raised above heads, brought down and beaten from my heart. Our brothers have violence, our sisters have violence, but we will drown them in the sea, because our waves will always rise highest. We will defeat it every day, but we will never fucking silent. Thanks.
My name's Graham McMillan Mason. My moniker, as you probably know if you're watching this, is the Eagertongue. I suppose I've made my own term up of what I do, which is spoken punk, mainly because I don't know how else to describe it really, because I'm not from a spoken word background or anything like that. I don't really understand what constitutes spoken word or poetry. I just I suppose from being in bands, from being like a really young age, I've wrote what I would call lyrics. I guess I'm just doing that in a more of a reading sense. So, you know, that with the release that has like both sides of what I do. I have just the poems singularly in separate parts, whereas I have, you know, the big long track which has got the music sort of in the background to add to it. And you know, live wise I do exactly the same. Sometimes it's just me speaking. The reason I did it was just sort of an outlet, effectively, because I came from, like I say, a background of playing in bands, doing music for a long time, and that was like 2009. And in 2009 I was a vastly different person, and I wanted to be in a band, and I knew what I wanted to achieve with it. When that band sort of broke up, which was on January 30th, 2009, which was our last show, I was kind of expecting to jump straight back into it because I wasn't ready for that to end. That period in my life, I was around 21, 22, and it ended quite abruptly just as it started getting fun. So I still had all this outlet of what I wanted to write, and things like that, and I have this part of me that is kind of, you know, I think about dying, I think every single day, especially more so now, but back then as well. And I really wanted to not waste time and sort of, you know, make a mark. But as it came out, I never kind of did a band after that.
Yeah, I know, but you're my teacher at the end of the day, Adam, so I learned
You're
everything I know
that,
from you. For the record, Adam was the guy who got me into this, so he's the one to blame, okay?
Nice.
Okay, so this one's about, it's called Dead Courage. It's about zombies and wishing you could die more than once. Like in a positive way. If you had like 9 lives, that'd be kind of cool. You could just chuck yourself from the buses just to see how it fucking feels, you know?
As well, I also came up, like my granddad died when I was really young. My other granddad died as well, and just little things like when he died of a brain hemorrhage, and it took him a few days to die with him being on a life support machine and stuff like that. And he's the only sort of dead body that I've seen, which is kind of weird, but it's sort of an experience at the same time, and it brought the reality to me, the fact that the one thing that's going to happen for certain in my life, I've seen it, and I suppose it did shape my idea. I haven't since then. I've lost quite a lot of people, like friends, definitely grandparents, who've all completely gone in different manners. I actually talk about the passing of my grandma in one of the poems, or one of the readings, or whatever you want to call that, I do. But when it comes to how it shaped me, I suppose seeing a dead body and someone I was so close to just disappear like that unexpectedly sort of brought it home to me, and shaped the idea from like a quite young age of like 11 that, you know, I should probably set out to achieve what I want to achieve, because it's one thing it's never guaranteed to me is time. And for the first time in my life, from my band breaking up to starting the Eagertongue, that was a period where I believed in it, but I had a frustration in where I didn't know where to put it. So I had this 8-9 years of wanting to do that, and the Eagertongue is kind of a good bit of a good avenue for what I believe. All this batch of stuff that I wanted to sort of release, but had no real way of doing it or what to do with it. And then I did start writing, to me, what were like song lyrics ready for like bands moving forward, but they kind of didn't have like a structure in the same way that I used to write, like a verse or a chorus or a bridge or any of that sort of stuff like I used to have back in when I used to be in the band. I had sort of just stories effectively, and just writing sort of emotions that I was feeling on paper. And to try and help me with that, my wife bought me a notepad and said, you know, write it down. I think, you know, you've got some sort of talent there, and continue on writing it. But again, it never felt right, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I just continued to write and write and write.
She told me her favourite thing to do as a kid was to go into the sea with her mum and to pee into the water. I'd never been so turned on. I immediately went into the back room, took out the space heater, told her to make believe it was the sun, put a bunch of trash bags on the floor and asked her to make believe it was the sand. I put on my bathing suit and then I offered myself as the sea. Thanks.
It was in sort of the April of that year. I was living in Ayrshire, and I woke up with some spots down my left hand side, I think, like down my leg, which literally looked like little red pinpricks. I didn't really know what it was. We sort of left it, and I thought, you know, I'll go to the doctors at some point if it gets worse, to which it did. I went to the doctors and they said it was possibly an allergic reaction. If it gets worse, to let them know. It did. Started travelling up my arms, and you know, after a while I started kind of looking weirdly like something out of like Alien Nation. I had these spots sort of like literally everywhere all over me, and I went back in to A&E and said, look, you need to explain what this is to me. I think I might know what it is. I've done a lot of reading up, and I think it might be something called vasculitis, which is what it turned out to be. And for people who don't know what that is, it's an autoimmune condition where your immune system actually continues to fight off, say, like a sore throat, but actually attacks your body and can, you know, attack your internal organs. And a lot of tests have to be done to make sure that effectively you're not getting all this sort of fighting inside of your body, which is kind of ironic, which is kind of what I've been like mentally for a long time. Long story short, I had to cut quite a big chunk out of my leg to determine that it definitely was vasculitis, even though they were pretty certain, and they had to put me on a dose of tablets that were highly toxic to my body, but to suppress my immune system. And it was like a high dose, which actually mentally made me quite euphoric, in kind of a good way. I was sort of in quite a good mood, but at the same time, you know, when the reality sets in of this thing, you know, I started reading about it, and it can be quite deadly. It kind of kills you pretty fast, or you live with it for a while and then it kills you. So I had all this kind of going on in my mind at the same time, alongside this writing that I'd done. And I mean, the mindset for me was kind of at war with sort of myself. I mean, I'd always had like a fear of, not a fear of death, a fear of dying without doing what I wanted to do. And you know, through that whole entire time that I had stuff that I was writing and I didn't know what to do, was like an intense frustration, which I didn't really let out. I did a lot of other stuff to kind of take myself out of the worry of like I wasn't actually doing anything, because I just didn't know what I wanted to do. And you know, when this happened, it was sort of, they didn't know what strain it was, so they couldn't give me any advice on what to do next. They just continued to tell me to remain positive, which is something, you know, I do try to be. I do try to be positive naturally, which is something that I you know, to this day I've continued to sort of do. I needed to do something with this stuff, and I also needed what I was writing to be an outlet for the fears that I was having, that what if this thing is killing me. Eagertongue came from a song that I really like, and the lyric was, "The consequence of knowledge is an eager tongue." However, it was more the words eagertongue forced into sort of one made sense. I used it as a moniker because I'm used to being in bands and having names, and I've always sort of enjoyed having the names. People take different connotations from it, not always ones I want them to, but in general it just came from having an eagerness to want to go out and speak. And when I heard the lyric in the song, it just kind of fit. I started off as Eagertongue, just Eagertongue, and then changed it to the Eagertongue when I developed that and decided I wanted it to be sort of my own thing. Then when I got other people joining in as well, it just sort of stuck. I just kept with the Eagertongue.